Passive traders, this is Alan. Welcome to another edition of the Option Genius podcast. On this episode, I have the pleasure of introducing you to a fellow passive trader, Mr. Charles Betz. He is a full-time trader, and he's going to talk about how he just got started with a small dollar account and how he is using the wheel option strategy to generate some very significant returns. I think you're going to enjoy this one. Stay tuned. At Option Genius, we believe that you deserve freedom, financial freedom, so that you have no more worries and more than enough money. Time freedom, so that you could do what you want, when you want to do it. And choice freedom, to live your life on your terms. But the system and Wall Street are rigged against those little guys. So how do we fight back? Well, my friend, that's what this podcast is all about. My name is Alan Sama, and this is the Option Genius podcast. Cool. So tell me about Chuck. Tell me about Mr. Betz. You know, what do you do? Who are you? How'd you get into trading?
I'm a high school teacher. I teach math and physics. It's a second career. My first career was in the restaurant industry, and things just didn't really work out for me there. So I've been a teacher for then going into my 10th year of teaching. And the whole reason I got into trading was when I looked at the retirement system, the pension, everything that teachers can earn. It's like one of the few professions that still has a pension. I looked at how old I was going to be when I was going to be able to collect a decent income. And I thought, wow, I'm not sure I want to work to be that old when I'm still working and retire at that age. Like, how much life am I going to have left? Who knows? So I started looking into other things I could maybe do to dial that number back. And I met with a buddy of mine. I have a real estate license. That's one of the things I got into while I was transitioning careers. He owned or ran his own little brokerage for a little while. And I was thinking about maybe, selling some homes or listing some homes in the summer or on the side while I was teaching to make extra money. And he told me about options. He's like, you got to check this out. There's this crazy thing. And I'd heard of them. I'd looked into different types of trading currencies and trading stocks. That's one of the things I teach in one of my math classes. It was investing, in stocks and what are they and all that stuff, just the basics though. And I had never heard of options. So that's how I found out about options, was through my buddy. And that was about 2 years ago.
So, okay, only about 2 years. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So instead of telling you to, come on board and, let me sell some houses for me, he put you in a whole different direction.
Well, he did offer to, give me some leads. I could follow up on his real estate leads, but having done real estate full-time in the past, I know how much time and effort and energy it takes to be successful in that industry.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, I'd already had a few years under my belt, and I love this job. I love what I do, but I just don't want to do it forever. I couldn't see doing real estate and then teaching at the same time. I don't know where I would find the time to do both.
So makes sense.
I thought I'd look into options or something to do with the financial markets, because that's something that can be done without as much time to invest into it,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. What state are you in?
I'm in California, in Southern California. I live in the city of La Mesa. It's just outside of San Diego.
Okay. And so they're unionized, the teachers there?
I was teaching at a school that had a union. I was part of the union. I have since left that school for, now I teach from home. That was another thing. Reason is because I had more time. I didn't have to go drive and be in a school building all day. I work with homeschool kids who parents homeschool them, and they get to that point in their schooling where they're like, I can't help you with that math, or I don't know how to teach you physics. So that's where I come in. But we aren't part of a union, but we do still pay into the state retirement, where we get our funds from public schools and from, the same way public schools do. We are a public charter school. We're just not part of a union. So that's the only difference.
Okay. So I think you might have touched on this, but besides the money aspect, what drew you to trading?
I just wanted to not have to work until I'm in my late 60s. And I knew that if I could somehow increase our income and put that into retirement savings, we're starting to fund our Roth IRAs, and we're starting to give money to our 403Bs. And we also, my wife's a teacher too. So, we pay into the 403B is like a 401k, but for teachers, right? I was thinking, well, gosh, it'd be really cool if we could just build up our investments faster. That way we wouldn't have to rely on that number they're going to give you when you reach that age. It's all this calculator and this crazy math. And they tell you, well, if you teach this many years and you're this age, we'll give you this much money. And I was like, that's all great, but I don't want to be 68 when I retire. How can I dial that back? So yes, it was about the money, but it was more about how can I start coming back from 68 and make it more like 65 or maybe 62 or maybe even younger than that,
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was really the goal, was to not have to work until I'm 68.
And how does your wife feel about that?
She is on board. Like, this whole thing has just been a huge eye-opener. I've kind of been a sucker in my life for all of these crazy money-making schemes, and it's something I learned from my mom growing up. She got into all these crazy money-making schemes, and I've made a lot of really bad decisions. And so it took a while for me to realize that, no, this is legit. Like, this is real. This works. This is not a scam. It's not an overnight get rich quick scheme, but it's a legitimate way to increase your income and to reach that goal of financial security a lot faster than you normally would. So she's totally on board.
That's awesome. That's really, I would say it's becoming more common, but originally when a lot of people come to us, they're like, yeah, I want to do this, but my wife, she's totally against it. And she just thinks, like you said, she just thinks it's another one of those things that I'm getting into that I'm all excited about. I'm going to spend money on a course or whatever. And then I'm either it's not going to work or I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So we have that pushback a lot from a lot of people. And I get where you're coming from. Cause when I was little, I've done it all too, network marketing, real estate, sales, all that stuff, everything that I could think of. I even did those chain letters. I don't know if you ever did that, where you get a letter.
I know what you're talking about, but I never got into it.
You get a letter and it has like 10 names and you're like, okay, you got to send $1 to each people on the name. And then you change the last and you put your name there and then you send out 1,000 letters. And then all those 1,000 people are supposed to send you $1 and on and on and on. And yeah.
Oh my gosh, I totally remember those. That's funny.
That was cool. I think I got like $1 back.
Yeah, well, growing up, my mom bought into, I don't know if you remember Carlton Sheets,
yes,
No Money Down.
Got his programs.
Courses.
Yep, we got his programs.
She was into Amway and selling Avon, and she was always trying to find that, that next thing. And so that's kind of the mindset I had growing up. But I just didn't really learn any financial literacy from her. It was kind of a struggle, really. So when I found this, I've always, when I got older, a little bit older in life, I started to realize, like, I don't have a whole lot of good financial knowledge from growing up. So I need to be a little bit more cautious about things. Okay. So I kind of made sure that this worked before I introduced it to my wife. And once she saw that it was working, she's like, let's go. This is great. Are you kidding? Wow.
Okay. So how did you, so you said you made sure that it worked. How did you do that?
So we had a brokerage account that I had just bought some stocks in. We opened it up when our daughter was born. We had a few $1,000s in there. And, it was just sitting there, not really doing anything. It never really appreciated in value. It never went up. It was, over the years when I was in real estate, some of the guys in the office were doing penny stocks, and maybe I got a couple $100s of that. And so over the years, there was a total of a couple of grand in there. I think a little over 3,000. And so when I first found out about options, I used that because she really didn't even know about that. It was like this account that she barely knew existed.
She forgot about
it. Whatever, it's no big deal. And so I used that to figure out, is this legitimate? Is this going to work? Or is this another one of those things where I'm just going to be like, oh, there I go again, making poor decisions about things that don't really work. And at first it didn't. One of the program and the education program that my buddy introduced me to, the thing they used to get me into it was buying options, which totally went against everything that I heard from you and from another podcast person that I listened to, where all you guys talk about is being a seller of options. But the way they presented the course and all the information, it made so much sense. There was logic and, a program and a trading plan. And so I put that in motion with my little small account and lost a third of it over a course of about 4 or 5 months. So that's my start into options.
Yeah. That's pretty common. A lot of people go that route because I mean, it's more appealing because, oh, if you buy an option, you can double your money, triple your money, 10 times your money overnight,
Yeah.
And it's great because they have plenty of examples. They can show you, oh, we
Oh
did
yeah.
this trade and we had this trade and we did this trade. They don't show you the other 99 trades that didn't do well, but they show
Mhm.
you the few that did. So great. So how did you find out about Option Genius? How did you get started with us?
I was looking for more education, more information. I watched tons of YouTube videos about what options are, all the Greeks and all the details and all that stuff. And I go out, part of my daily routine is to go out for an hour-long walk. I walk about 3 miles every morning. I'll put my earbuds in, and I started listening to podcasts about investing and then eventually trading and now options. And yours was one of the few out there that I could find. There aren't that many people doing consistent podcasts about options trading. So between you and this other one that I was listening to, and again, both of you were primarily talking about selling options, and here I was over buying options. I'm like, I'm not doing something right. I'm losing money, but these guys are talking about doing something different. I got to get this figured out. So that's how I found you guys, was through podcasts. So thank you for putting out the podcast.
Okay. No, you're welcome. It's been an interesting journey for the
Uh,
podcast.
I bet.
So what was the first product that you tried with us, or what have you had success
So
with?
I went to your website. I signed up for your emails, just your basic emails. Here's what we do, that kind of stuff. And you sent out a scholarship request. You
Mm.
were offering a scholarship for your passive trading program.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of extra money on the side. I was using a really small account, to buy a program. I was like, oh, I'm still not sure about this stuff. But you offered a scholarship, and in your introductory video for what you wanted, you're like, I've offered this before. Like, nobody's ever really done anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
I was really kind of disappointed by all the people who, I've given the scholarship to. I haven't really had any success stories. So maybe you can be a success story. And I'm like, yes, that is me. I want to be that guy. So I put together my video and I sent it in, and you emailed me, congratulations, we're awarding you the scholarship. And my head exploded. It was fantastic. So I watched all the courses. I mean, I take notes on all the courses that you teach. I have my little options notebook here that I write everything down for, like a student would.
Awesome.
And just right when it all was over, started working the plan. So
Awesome.
that's how I
Awesome.
found you guys.
And how's it been so far? That was about 2 years ago, you said?
A year and a half ago.
Year and a half. Okay.
It was actually February of 2020. Good time to get started, right?
Yeah.
February 2020, I started placing my first trades, and my first few trades were profitable. I hit my profit margins, just like the plan says. Everything was going great. Oh my gosh, let's keep going. Let's do the next month, beginning of March, open up my trades, and then coronavirus, right? And so everything went south, but I could see, like, this is working. I totally get that this works. We just had this huge adjustment in our market based on what was going on. So I just kept going and going after that, and it's been going great.
But you had the hope, right?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah, there was
I
something
could
there.
see that it worked. That was the thing. I saw the results. I saw that this new strategy I'd never used before, it works. What all of these guys talk about, books that I've read talk about, selling options is the way to make money. It works. It was the first time I had ever sold an option. I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff works. Kind of like
So
how you talk about in your story, where you're like, man, I was losing money and I looked at this one option and it was the one I sold, and I was like, what? It was like a light bulb moment, right?
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
So how did you handle the Corona bear market?
I lost some money, but I just got right back in. Like, it turned around within a few weeks. Like, actually, as it started going down, I just flipped to the other side of the options chain, and started taking advantage of it on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see, okay, we're going to go down for a few days or maybe a week or who knows how long. But that's the beauty of options is, if there's a clear trend in what's going on, you can jump to the other side.
Awesome. Cool. So how have your trading results been so far?
I'm keeping track. So that account was so small, and I really wasn't doing what I wanted to do based on what the passive trading formula, there are the three main types of trades, and you
Mm-hmm.
break it all down by account size. And my account size was so small, and I wasn't having as much luck with the one strategy to build it up. So I rolled over my 403B from my previous employer to my current brokerage as a rollover IRA and got it approved for options and started trading there. That was October of last year.
Okay.
And since October, it's up 26%.
Okay. So what is that, like
In
nine
about
months or
9
so?
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Awesome.
if I look at the graph, because us math people would like to graph things, if I look at the graph, I should be right around 30 to 35% on a year-over-year basis for
Sweet.
using that strategy.
Sweet. Very nice. So what strategies are you using?
Right now, I am selling puts to get into positions.
Okay.
And once I'm in that position, I do covered calls, and I'm doing them a little closer to the money because I don't really care if it gets called away as long as I'm, not negative in that
Mm-hmm.
particular option, like or position, I should say. I look at each position like it's a little business, right? If I'm going to put this money out there, I want it to make me money. And as long as I'm profitable in that position, if it gets called away, as long as I've made money on it, when it's all said and done, perfect. So that's what I've been doing. It's just kind of been bouncing back and forth right now. I'm not holding anything right now. I might get assigned this Friday. We'll see. Depends on where the put closes. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Cool. Then what type of stocks are you doing this on?
Actually, I've only been using ETFs.
Okay.
So I found that stocks, they move a lot. I've been looking at, I've been doing credit spreads a little bit, like you taught to do credit spreads. So I've been doing a couple of those here and there. I'm starting to get back into trying those out and making sure I can figure out I know what I'm doing. But I like doing it on ETFs because I feel like an ETF isn't going to go bankrupt. An ETF isn't going to go down to zero. So I've been using, smaller ETFs, some of the different ETFs that have smaller, price per share points, so that because my IRA account isn't that big. So and I don't want to put all my eggs into one basket. I don't want to do all of it in one trade. So I want to spread it around. So I've been using just this list of ETFs that I found that, fit all the criteria you mentioned in the course, and just keep selling puts on them until I get assigned, and then doing covered calls. And if it gets called away, then I just go back to selling puts again, and it just keeps going around and around and around.
Awesome. So the puts you're selling and the covered calls, they are what, weekly, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
Mostly I'm doing monthlies. Most of
Okay.
the time I'm looking for like a 30 to 35 days till expiration put to sell. All of the ETFs do offer weekly options. I want to make sure that fit that criteria of having weekly options, and there's lots of liquidity. Not that if you necessarily need it, if you're okay with being assigned, but still, if there for some reason you wanted to get out of a trade, you got to be able to get out of a trade.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one where I've been doing it a little bit more, like just testing out this idea of trying it every like 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing puts where they'll expire anywhere between 18 and 24 days instead of 30 to 35, just to see what the results are. I'm just, playing around with things and
Right.
tracking data and keeping track of everything to see if it offers any edge whatsoever. So
Right. And you're not keeping the stocks too long, so you're not really worried about the dividend.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm hoping to build, to get to that point. And like you say in your program, where it's like, okay, you got this host of really good stocks, you got your dividends that are coming in, and then you're just doing calls on top of that to help juice those returns.
Yep.
So, but my account's not quite there yet.
Okay. No worries.
As far as size goes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, okay, so you're doing like basic bread and butter, naked puts, get some premium, maybe they expire, maybe they get assigned, and then you turn around, right around, and you do what, like at the money covered calls or a little bit out of the money, or?
Depending on if I do get assigned, it depends on where I got assigned at. So if it did go through a couple of dollar drop, let's say it was trading at $40 a share and I sold that put and then it drops to 38, I'll make sure that I sell the call so that I'm above my cost basis. I want to make sure I'm not losing money on the position. So sometimes it's a little further out of the money, but most of the time I'm trying to sell it pretty much right at where I got assigned.
Okay, awesome.
And
cool.
collect the premiums to build my account faster. That's
awesome.
my goal.
Yeah, congratulations. You're doing better than most people out there, and a lot of professionals.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm floored. I really am. When I started plotting everything and looking at the returns, I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is crazy, unbelievable."
How long does it take you in a day to do this?
Oh, not long at all. I do it in the morning. Before my workday starts, or sometimes before I go out for my morning walk. I'll look at Monday or Tuesday. Okay, let's sell another put. Just I've got my list of ETFs that I look at, and I say, okay, how much did that one expire? Cool, I've got some more money in my account. Let's sell another one. Did I get assigned? Okay, let's look at the chain. Where do I need to do my covered call at? Okay, let's do it there, and then I go on with my day. That's it. I love it because it's so low maintenance. During the school year, my days I'm swamped. Like I don't have a whole lot of time to sit here and stare at a screen of the markets and go through and look at charts and all that. So this plan really just fits what I'm looking for.
Okay. So, okay, now I don't know if you've done this, but if you extrapolate and say, okay, I'm doing about 25, 30% a year.
Mhm.
If I can do that every year, which, with the style that you're doing, you should be able to do somewhere close to that, right? Does that help you, or have you done the numbers and be like, well, I could probably retire 5 years early or 4 years early or something like that?
That's been a moving target, and it's really been hard to nail down because all of this is just so recent, right?
I
It's
see.
all
Okay.
so very recent. And you sent out that email, I don't know if you remember, like a month or two ago, what's your number? And you linked it to that article where, that guy offered to give you as much money as you want. You write a number down. How much money would you need to never work again for the rest of your life? And I'm going to ask 4 other people, and whoever gives me the lowest number wins, right? And I thought that was amazing because then it got me to thinking, what is my number? I know that this whole thing was designed to dial back my I don't want to work till 68,
Right.
but what would this get me if I were to project this out? Could I stop teaching at 62? Could I stop teaching at 59? I really need to look at all of the pieces of the puzzle to get a clear picture of what that's going to look like and when. But it's very exciting. This is exciting stuff to get to do,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're still looking at it that way, that's great. But I would like you to look at it from a different point of view as well. Now that you've already seen, that it works, there's power behind it. Now let's figure out, okay, how much do you need every month to pay the bills so that we don't need to worry about what your big number is in the big number in the sky. It's like, we need X dollars every month to pay the bills. How much do I need in my account to cover that amount?
Right.
So if you want to, let's say your monthly expenses are 5-6 grand, and as an example, well, hey, if I can make that much 5-6 grand from my trading account every month doing these simple trades, boom, I can retire today. And then it's up to you. It's like, do I want to keep teaching? Yeah, that's great. Or do I want to go volunteer? Or do I want to teach for free? Or, the sky is the limit at that point. So, definitely, I don't want people to think that they have to wait till 65, 68. They could do it a lot sooner. And when you look at it from that point of view, that's another like aha moment. Like, what? Really? Is that possible? Yeah, it is. And it doesn't take as much as you would think, especially when you're, bringing in like 1-2% a month. If you can build it up, then, and once you take a look at it, your expenses, you're in California, so maybe it's a little bit higher with the taxes and whatnot, but if you structure it in a different way, it might be a lot less than you realize.
I think I'm going to do that. Just knowing that, I haven't done a full year. I think once I hit that October deadline where I've been doing this a year and I see that number and I know that it works, that's a really good opportunity to say, hey, how much would I need in my account in order to do this and live off of it? Like pay my bills, pay my expenses, and not have to worry about going to a classroom every day during the school year, or teaching Zoom classes, or planning lessons, or grading papers, or, any of that. Just, then what would I do with my time? I could, like you said, volunteer or tutor for free or do something else. Just that's a really interesting thought.
I wouldn't want you to leave teaching because I know we need our teachers, but just the fact of not having to worry. Like, we've had multiple people that come into our system where they get to that point, where, hey, yeah, I'm making as much as from my job as I am from my trading, but I love my job so much, I'm going to keep doing it. So it feels really good. Your self-esteem goes up, the way you think about yourself, the way you carry yourself, all that changes because now you're like, wow, I'm in control of my own destiny. So,
wow. Yeah, I can see that. I just from the success I've had, I can kind of see that mindset shift for me, what my thoughts are about the future and what's possible.
Like, I know, recently after Corona, we've had this really great bull market, things have been going up, things have been double, triple since when they hit the bottom, then they went up. So a lot of people have made a lot of money, especially the buying option guys. Right now, they're walking on water because they're like, oh, every option I buy, it goes up. Every call option goes up. So they're making money. But the thing that you're doing, it works in a bull market when things are going up, but it always works when things are going sideways, and it works really good even when things are going down, So if you had came to me and said, oh yeah, I've been buying options and I made 40% or 30% this year, I'd be like, congratulations, but you're not gonna be able to do that year after year after year, but what you're doing, yeah, it can be done year after year after year. And then you start compounding that eventually, very quickly, within 3, 4, 5 years, that number every month of what you're bringing in just exponentially grows and grows and grows, and it gets huge. So I'm really excited for you. So it's like future looks really, really bright for you guys.
It really does. It's just, and having come to, financial stability, I will say, at a later age in life, and thinking about, okay, when I got into teaching, at least I will be able to retire at some point, even though that was 68. And then stumbling into this, it just blows my mind because, I wish I had found it sooner, just like teaching. I love teaching. Wish I had started doing this earlier in my life. But yeah, the opportunities that trading opens up are limitless. This has just been amazing. And I can't thank you enough because you guys offered me the scholarship, and here I am. I'm loving it.
Yep. Okay. So now we've talked a lot about the good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But tell me now, what was maybe the most challenging thing to get you started to doing this, or to achieve some success with this?
I think, well, two things. One was the account size, because I had such a small account to start with. But the second was more of a mental thing. And I don't know if it had to do with all of those horrible schemes, those money-making schemes that I've succumbed to in the past, to really just trust and believe in this and know that it works, and trust in the process and click submit on that order and just watch it work. But I think the mental part of it was probably the hardest thing to get over. And I hear so many people that I listen to and read about talk about that aspect of what it is we're doing, where the mental part of trading is probably one of the most important things, because anybody can do a strategy and anybody can come up with a trading plan. But if you don't have the right mindset about that plan, it's not going to work for you. It's just not. And I think that was the hardest thing when it clicked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, why did it take so long? But I think getting the right mindset was probably the hardest thing for me.
Okay. And how did you go ahead and get that mindset?
Knowing that there's limited risk. Like what we do, you limit your risk. When there are certain things, and people talk about options. I have a friend who used to work in the financial markets, and I was asking him if he knew anything about options. He goes, oh man, I don't know. The only thing I know is those are really risky. But what we do, you define your risk, right? You have here is your maximum loss you are willing to lose. You're not going to lose your house and your life savings and be destitute living on the street. And you can make that as small as you want. And I think that helped comfort me a little bit, and just saying, well, look, if it doesn't work, this is what I'm going to lose. Am I okay with that? Yeah, that's not going to make a big deal in the long run. So let's give it a try. So that part of it really helped me get over the mindset of losing, or the fear of losing being greater than the fear of opportunity, or the actual idea of opportunity. So yeah, it's just the mindset thing that really took a while for me to wrap my head around and just do it. But again, reading so many people talk about it and great examples of how to get over it, I'm so glad I did.
Awesome. Cool. So let's say if we have a listener who's in your shoes where you were about a year and a half, 2 years ago, what would you tell that person? How would you advise them to get started, or what should they do first, second, third?
Educate yourself. Definitely. I spent several months just educating myself as much as possible from reputable people. Like I said, I listened to your podcast. I listened to podcasts of other people. I read books, watched YouTube videos from reputable sources. You can kind of tell the snake oil salesman out there. So I would always just kind of ignore those. But, there are plenty of valid sources of free material to educate you about what options are and how they can work for you. So first, make sure you know what you're doing. But then second, get yourself somebody who knows what they're doing to help you out. This has been such a helpful community that you've introduced me to. Everybody in the Facebook group, you offer all of the support. It's just been so helpful to know that there are people out there doing it with me, even though I'm here alone in my office, watching the screen or doing what I'm doing. But definitely somebody who's new, educate yourself, find somebody who's going to help you, and then just do it. You just be okay with losing a couple $100. Trust me, I think most people have probably spent a couple $100 on something useless anyway, and so I think it's worth it to see that this works, and that'll just be a complete mind change for you.
Cool. Okay. So now thinking back to the program that you were in, the passive trading formula, give me like maybe 2 or 3 takeaways that, when you went through it, it really hit you and you're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. This is good. I need to start using this stuff.
There are rules for everything. You have everything. There is a template. It's a predetermined, this is how you do it. This is what you look for. This is when you see this, go. And as a math teacher, math is just rules, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do when, there are rules for every type of math. So if you follow these rules, you'll get the right answer. So if you follow that trading rule, you will get the desired outcome. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways from your entire program, was that there's a template. It's laid out for you. Here's what to look for. Here's what to do when things go wrong. Here's what to do when things go right. Here's how to be successful at this, and then just do it. That's it. That was the beauty of it, is how simple it is. And the fact that I don't have to be glued to my computer screen all day. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay.
I hope, did that answer your question? I hope
yeah, it did. It's up to you. It's whatever. I mean, everybody looks at it from a different point of view. When some people start asking the same question, it's like some people, they talk about, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to do this with, like, some people have certain disabilities and they can't work, or they can't focus, or they can't do some other things, and they get drawn to this. Other people look at it and their takeaway is like, oh, I'm coming at this from, like, let's say, a real estate background. We have a lot of real estate investors that get involved in options because it makes sense. You're buying a house, you're renting it out, you're cash flowing it. Well, you could do that same thing with stocks. Your covered call is cash flowing your stocks. So It's kind of the same thing. And so different, like, I love your answer. It's great. Everybody looks at it from a different point of view. So I just like hearing what attracted and what people took away. The template thing, that's something I've heard it, but not too much. And I think it's one of the things we like to do is just keep it simple. You can, like you said, there are other people out there that are teaching this stuff, but what I find is that they make it so complicated that it stops people in their tracks from, like, oh man, I'm never going to understand that stuff. What is he talking about? Like, geez. So that's why we kind of, especially this program, it's like, yeah, this is really simple, like, just get started, start with one foot, start with another foot. You don't have to go running. You just start walking a little bit and crawling a little bit, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. So
yeah, it's been great. I think the other thing that hooked me the most was you use the analogy of insurance a lot. And that really was like another light bulb moment for me. There was a book I was reading where they talk about it from being an insurance company perspective. You've talked about it from that perspective. I used to work for AIG selling life insurance back before they had to get bailed out. That was an interesting time. But insurance, from that perspective, and selling options totally makes sense to me. And being able to define your risk, what insurance market do you want to go into? Do you want to be a reinsurance company where you're going to handle all the crazy insurance that nobody else will touch? Or do you want to be a super conservative insurance company? That's really what trading options is. You're out there taking on a little bit of risk and collecting some money, and just do it month after month. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. And that whole insurance analogy just really clicked with me. So between that and the step-by-step, here's a template, follow this process and let it fly. Those two were the huge takeaways for me.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So based on your experience, would you recommend Option Genius to others?
Oh yeah, I already have. My buddy that I mentioned options to, he used to work for, was the wealthiest guy here in San Diego County. The guy manages several $1 billion worth of investments, but his portfolio kind of shrank over the past several years, and he's just looking to hang it up. So he got laid off, and he was the one I asked if he knew anything about options. And he got all freaked out. Oh, they're risky. And I said, well, you should look into this guy. You should, go listen to some of his podcasts. That's how I was introduced. And if what he's saying makes any sense, I'm happy to turn you on to what they're doing over there. It's amazing. It really is. And so I don't know if I haven't talked to him. I don't know if he's listened to any podcasts or ran with it or done anything with it, but I'll probably check in with him here before I go back to school next month.
Appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, everything that we can do to get the word out there, because the situation you're lucky that you're a teacher and you have that built-in pension. It's kind of, I've learned a little bit about it, but it's like your teachers are kind of in that situation. They're better off than most companies or most people that don't have that fallback plan. A lot of people are really, really, and you have the other thing. I don't know if you're in high school teacher, right? So, I mean, if you were unionized, I've seen it's harder to lay off a teacher.
Oh yeah.
But we have so many people that come to us and say, I was a high level executive. I was making a couple $100,000 a year, but then they decided to lay me off and they brought in somebody that's, doing the work cheaper. And now I can't find a job that will pay me the same amount I was making. So my family's used to a certain lifestyle. I can't provide it anymore.
Yeah.
I wish I had found this stuff so much sooner. And so that's why it's like, I'm out there like, man, we really need to get this stuff out there. People need to hear about it. Even if they do just the basics, most people already have a stock portfolio. They already have their indexes. Just sell a few options every few years, every month, not even every month. They could do it every few months. They could still make a little bit more than they're making now. And in the long run, it'll add up and work out. So, all right, last question for you. Okay. What do you think the future holds for you now?
That is completely up to me. I've always been a believer in that I kind of control my destiny, my circumstances don't necessarily, I'm here because of who I am. So, but I feel like my future it's wide open. It really is. I daydream a lot more. I think about the opportunities and the possibilities a lot more.
Uh-huh.
It's like you said, what if 5, 6, 7 years from now, this could replace your teaching income? Would you continue to teach, or would you do something else? And those are the thoughts that I have. And I just, like I said, I haven't really committed it to paper and talked it over with my wife to figure out, okay, if I could, would I, or could I, or should I, and what would I do? What would I do with all that time? But that's what I see for me in the future is just so many possibilities. There's so many things that I thought I would have to wait to do until I'm much, much older than I am now. And the thought of being able to get to do those sooner rather than later is really exciting.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you've always wanted to do that you're like, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot?
So interesting story.
Uh-huh.
My last job in the restaurant business, I was a brewmaster, and I worked for a company called Rock Bottom Breweries. Mm-hmm. There used to be one. I know you're in Texas. There was one in Houston for a long time. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I was a brewmaster for the Rock Bottom Breweries, and I absolutely loved it. It was a fun company. It was a fun job. The beer community, the craft brewing community, and this was back in the late 90s. This was before everything blew up like it is now. Mm-hmm. So, and I had to get out because of a workplace injury. Well, so many of these little tiny neighborhood breweries are opening up where it would be super easy to manage on my own and just do it part-time, 3-4 days a week. I've seen people do that business model. I think that would be a fantastic thing to do with my time. Just make some beer for the local community, sponsor some little league teams and some softball teams, and just work part-time and have a great time.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. So are you going to do it? I know I'm pushing you here, but
I know. I think I should. I really do. I think if that's the one thing I could do, if I got out of this, what would I do with my time? I think that's what I would do. I really do.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah. I like it. It's a good plan. I mean, I wouldn't want you to stop teaching, but you could do this in your afternoons.
Well, tutoring is an option. And with tutoring, you can set your own hours. Tutors get paid fairly well. You don't have to, be locked in a classroom for 6.5 hours or glued to a computer screen teaching 3 or 4 hours a day. Tutoring can just be, hey, an hour here, an hour there. And, you're still helping students out. You're still passing down that knowledge that and being a part of the education journey of somebody who's never been, to college or whatever it may be. But at the same time, having all my other time to do other things that I want to pursue, like running my own brewery.
That sounds interesting. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in Houston, well, outside of Houston. So I don't remember that one, but there are several here. And like I've been to a couple of them. There's one called St. Arnold, I think. They sponsor, the SMS 150, which is like a bike race.
Mhm.
So they're big sponsors of different charities and stuff around. I don't drink, but it's just the vibe when you go there and it's just different atmosphere. So,
Yeah. Oh,
um,
yeah. And that's what drew me to it was the community. As a job, it's just a job. It's a pretty physical manual labor to run one of those breweries.
yeah.
But it was more the community, sponsoring local events and just reaching out, giving money away, because brewing beer is like printing money. The cost of the materials to make that stuff is next to nothing, and they're selling it for $4, $5, $6 a glass. It's like printing money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I would just love to be a part of my community here and give back.
Yeah, I've always thought to get into something like snow cones or something like that, where you're just selling ice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Those used to come to my daughter's
Similar. Yeah.
elementary school. Same thing. Yeah. You're just putting a little flavored syrup on a cup of ice and you're charging $4 for that. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Fun thing. Cool. All right. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for your time. I'm so happy and proud of the success you've had. You really, you took that scholarship, you ran with it. It was all on you, I mean, we did what we could. We supported you however we could, but it takes, like I said, when you saw the video, there are several people that have been through that program and everybody starts out fresh and excited and, but then life happens and they kind of fall off, but not you. I mean, you took it, you ran with it, you're actually doing it. And I think that's the biggest thing, you want to change your life. You have to set your goal. You have to set it and say, yeah, this is something that I'm going to do. And then you just do it. Month after month, you keep at it and you work on it. And like you said, you had, you lost a little money in the beginning with the different program, and then you found something that made sense. And that's like the biggest thing. It's, this makes sense to me. Okay, I press this, I do this, and that happens. Okay, let me try. You tried it, it worked, and you're like, okay, I could do this. And then you just kept building on it and building on it. And like you said, now you're getting, you're trying to do the credit spreads, you're learning a different strategy, you're getting a little bit more creative and more advanced. You don't really have to. You've had great success. If the S&P was doing 30% every year, like we'd all be billionaires. We wouldn't have to do any of this, but it doesn't. But if you could do that year after year, I mean, you could be starting your own school and your own brewmaster school or whatever you want to do. You'd be starting that pretty soon. So I'm really excited for you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to apply for that scholarship and then just taking it and run with it and doing it. And it just makes me so happy, it's like, yay, I'm actually doing something that's making a difference for somebody.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Alan, for extending that, for offering this, all the support, for the past year and a half that I've been part of the program, the coaching and the support community on Facebook, and just putting out that information out there and sharing your knowledge and your belief in other people. So I just want to extend that thank you to you personally, because I will be forever grateful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I mean, you've made me come to the decision that, we want to offer the scholarship again this year. Like, in the past, I was like, I don't know, man, is this helping anybody? We're just wasting our time. But no, I think we need to, even if it helps out one person, like I think it'd be worth it. So normally we do it around Thanksgiving. So those of you who are listening, if you're interested in the program, you want to wait till Thanksgiving. I wouldn't advise it, but hey, if money's tight, then maybe that's what you got to do, right? So around Thanksgiving, we'll probably come out with a scholarship again for a limited number of people. But yeah, thank you so much again, Chuck. This has been awesome. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks again, Alan. Take care.
Bye-bye. Are you ready to get started with passive trading and be a consistent and confident and profitable trader, generating cash flow consistently from the stock market? Well, I have some great news for you. For a limited time, we are offering my new book, Passive Trading, for free. All you got to do is go to passivetrading.com/free book, and we will send you the book in the mail for free, as long as you cover the postage and handling. So if you can cover that, we'll send you the book for free. We've already printed it. We got it for you. We're going to send it out to you. It's free. All you got to do is just go to passivetrading.com/free book and learn the basics of passive trading. Get the behind the scenes, get some examples, learn the strategies, and put this stuff to work in your life right now. Remember, go to passivetrading.com/free book and get yours now while this offer is still available.